Hi, and welcome to today's planning preview. We're going to look at the upcoming agenda for the Planning Commission for July 1st, hoping you can join us. And today I have Jason Bieber with me from Planning and Development Services. How are you doing, Jason?
Great, it's Friday, so I'm excited.
Yes, and we're glad to finally be back together again, properly socially distanced, of course, but great to be face to face.
Yes, this is our first one we've done probably since beginning of March. Did we do a March one?
Yeah, we did a March one.
3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
so, yes.
It's been quite a few. Well, let's jump right into it.
Sure.
We've got a series of things coming up in our meeting. First one is a conditional use permit for on-sale alcohol within 500 feet of residential located at 3613 North Cliff Avenue. That's just south of Benson Road, I'm guessing, right?
Correct. This is on the west side of Cliff Avenue, and it's already an existing, I believe, Deuce's Casino or a casino up there. They're looking at adding another tenant space and then having another casino onto it. So same kind of use, but it'll be 2 separate tenants. And that's why that they need a separate alcohol license, so we have to go through the conditional use process. So.
And we do these every time that there's somebody that's going to be close enough to a residential function, so that we just make sure the citizens have a chance to respond, and it also helps to make sure that the business is doing all their safety plan and all those kinds of things and making sure all of our ducks in a row, right?
Yep, absolutely. Residential, or if we're next to a church, a park, any of those kind of uses. And it really gives us a chance to then to take a look at some of these existing sites, especially in areas that are been there for a long time, to really make sure, as you indicated, that they maybe have the screening on the backside, they've got the landscaping, they got that way to make sure that it's separated from those residential uses. So
That makes a lot of sense. Well, and the second one is a similar one, conditional use permit, being within 500 feet of residential at 4601 East Arrowhead Parkway, number 111. That's near Sycamore and that old Shopco complex, right?
Correct. Yep. I believe this is the tenant space that they had. Was it a 24/7 fitness gym was in? Yep. So I believe that has closed and just recently. So they're looking at putting another on-sale alcohol use or casino within that strip center. So yep. And then we do have some residential, as you know, to the east of that, and some to the south also. So.
And that residential is used to those kinds of functions within that kind of commercial strip development.
Yeah, use of the retail uses, and then there's a couple strip centers that are on the east side of that property, and I believe there's either 1 or 2 casinos within there. So it's kind of been that retail use for a while. So
yep, that helps. The next one is a conditional use permit for a car wash. To be constructed within 250 feet of DD or AD forms. Those are dwelling forms located at 1801 West 41st Street. This must be a couple of blocks just east of Western. Is that old restaurant used to be in that area, I think?
Yep, correct. This would be the old Lone Star Steakhouse building,
right.
I believe it was called, just west of Montgomery Furniture. Yeah. And so they're looking at, that's been closed for a couple of years now. So they're actually looking at raising the building and then doing a car wash on that site. And as you know, we do have some single family residential uses to the south of there. So they've submitted, the concept plan or site plan with some of the screening. They are hosting a neighborhood meeting on site on Monday night. So in a couple of days, which city staff will attend in them, and hopefully at that time, if there's some concerns from the neighbors or any additional things that they would like to see that's reasonable, the applicant can work with them to try and get those kind of things worked out prior to the planning commission meeting. So.
Right. Well, we've found that those public meetings really help a lot in kind of being able to fine tune things so that neighbors have some input directly to the outcome of what's going to be there, right?
Yep, absolutely correct. And with these car washes too is we haven't done a lot of them. I think this is, we did one last month, but before that, I'm not sure if we've even done one in my time with the city.
It's been quite a while since we did the last car wash, but Silver Star and others seem to really be doing quite a bit in town and trying to rejuvenate things.
Correct. So, we do, I just want to reiterate, because I know we had a lot of questions on the other one, but we do have, our health department does have a noise ordinance, a sound ordinance. And so when these car washes get completed or constructed, they have to go out, the health department goes out there and makes sure that they're meeting the 60 decibels at the property line. And if these car washes don't meet that, then either they need to mitigate the sound more or they can't open. So I just really want to reiterate that to the neighbors and stuff, that we do check up and make sure that they're meeting those requirements. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's good. And that's exactly the way the process is supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, good point. Let's see, next one is a rezoning from agricultural district to RS single family residential at 4101 South 6 Mile Road. It looks like we've got a few of them in that general vicinity. This is just north of 57th Street somewhere.
Yeah, this would be at the kind of the corner of 6th Mile and 49th Street, as you know, kind of southeast of where the new Brandon School District, our Brandon School will be, and our new fire station. So if you guys haven't driven out there, it's pretty nuts how many houses have actually sprung out there. And as you know, and we know, that when a school gets announced or a school is being built, it seems like those residential subdivisions just start blowing up. And
well, everybody loves the old-fashioned idea of being able to walk to school, right?
Absolutely. And Brandon School District has a pretty good reputation, so that whole east side is just continuing to construct single-family houses, and this is just another extension, street south of more single-family houses. So yeah.
Yep, great to hear that. Next one is rezoning from the O Office District to I-1 Light Residential, just south of 57th and east of 6 Mile Road, kind of just southeast to that last one, correct?
Yep, correct. So this would be east of the intersection of 57th Street and where Veterans Parkway is going to start going, just east of the Sanford land that was purchased over there. So as you start going east on 57th Street, and then once Veterans Parkway goes in, it'll probably be a little bit less of a commercial area out east. And so they're looking at zoning to I-1 to really do 2 contractor shops out there, which be quick access to Veterans Parkway, but still be able to kind of keep it away from our commercial areas that we are projecting there for the intersection of 57th and Veterans Parkway. So
now for our viewers, when people hear I-1 or light industrial, I think a lot of people start to picture, okay, is there going to be some kind of factory here with like hundreds of employees? And that's a totally different category than this I-1 light industrial. Maybe you should just describe briefly what the limitation of that I-1 really is. Yeah,
typically with the I-1, the ones that you're describing, the larger industrial scale projects, like the things up in Foundation Park is a good example, or some of the development foundation stuff. Those are really the I-2 sizes, those large industrial buildings that employ hundreds of workers. So this light industrial district really is utilized for contractor shops, maybe some storage units, less intensive things like that, maybe a small warehouse. We've actually had some breweries go into I-1 where it's more of just their production of their beer and things. So more of the smaller warehouse contractor type uses. So
Right. And it's really a lower intensity use as well as a lower square footage limit on these particular ones, right?
Yep, absolutely. And height, the height is limited in I-1. I-2 really doesn't have a height limitation unless you're adjacent to residential or you're in the airport, fly zones and things like that. So yes.
Okay, good point. Let's see, the next one is a preliminary subdivision plan for Majestic Meadows Second Edition, kind of in that same one we had just a couple of ago on 49th and 6 Mile Road, and that is that third one in that same general vicinity.
Yeah, 6 goes exactly along with number 4, so that's a preliminary subdivision plan that goes along with that rezoning. So that'll show us a preliminary lot and block layout and kind of 49th Street coming through there. So
now, as we review those, obviously we're not reviewing a final subdivision plan. What we're doing is kind of looking at those in general sense of, do we have the kind of right mix, and as they start to lay out individual areas, does it have the right kind of blending to get from, say, a commercial area to a residential area, and are we being sensitive to having the right uses next to each other, right?
Yep. Correct with that aspect. You kind of nailed it on the head. I always use the analogy. It's like when you buy anything, get your box home, you open up the box, say it's a desk, right? And you need to put together the desk. So you open up the box. A preliminary plan is like you're making sure that every part that you need to build that desk is in that box. And then as we continue to go through the process, like our DEPs, development engineering plans, construction plans, plats, that's actually the process of building the actual desk. So we're really, at this point, we're just making sure everything's there. The water's there, the sewer's there, the roads can be there, it's connectivity, it's all gonna work together if we need bike trails and different things like that. So.
Right. And then the piece that comes in front of us is more about kind of that blending of different zones next to each other.
Yeah,
and
making
sure that works too.
Yep, make sure we get our streets and we're not, vacating things that we shouldn't, where we can't get the traffic to flow to our arterials from our local streets. And really that's just making sure all the parts are there. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. And I think, just as kind of a follow-on to that, one thing that I've thought about is I think we should talk about kind of the current permits and what's going on there. And we'll do that right after the break. So please stay with us. We have a short break here, and then we'll be back with Jason and I talking about what's going on with permits these days.
The City of Sioux Falls has an easy way for you to help your community. Simply download the City of Sioux Falls mobile app. The app can be used to ask a question or to report a variety of nuisances like potholes, graffiti, streetlights not working, abandoned vehicles, and more. You can even upload a photo with your report. Every report is immediately routed to the appropriate team so they can quickly respond. In addition to tracking your reports, the app allows you to view reports submitted by other users and learn when they've been resolved. Go to the App Store or Google Play stores and download the City of Sioux Falls app today.
Well, we're back, and Jason and I are here talking kind of an additional subject after our planning preview. And Jason, we want to talk a little bit about permits and some of the pace of business that we're seeing in Sioux Falls. Looks like things are going pretty well so far this year. In fact, you provided me some information. Looks like for projects with a value greater than $1 million, we're at 33 so far this year, which is pretty close to on pace with where we've been the past couple of years, right?
Correct. Yeah, we just wanted to kind of give our viewers an update on some of the permits that have gone through the first 6 months of this year. I know, with COVID and that kind of thing, I think people think everything was just came to a halt, and really kind of want to just go through some of this stuff and just kind of give you an idea of actually how busy we actually were from March till now, essentially. So,
And ultimately, the indication is very busy and
correct.
Lots going on for sure. It was kind of interesting when you gave me this sheet just showing all of the various kind of sectors of different types of building over 2018, 2019, and 2020, very similar across the board. Really, the big thing that I noticed is manufacturing is much lower this year for some reason, but I'll bet that will do some catch up as we get a little later in the year, right?
Yep, I think with that especially, I think you hit it there that we've got some bigger projects that maybe we've heard of that hopefully will get either announced or maybe start getting permits and stuff later this year. I don't know if that's necessarily because of COVID. It might just be because they haven't pulled their permits quite yet, kind of a deal. So it's just one of those things that we'll just kind of wait and see. But I would assume that number would start coming up, and could be some very large projects that would even probably take that number higher than the last couple of years. But
Well, I'm aware of quite a few of them going on right now. So that'll be great news for us. I think really the takeaway from all of this is we've got a pretty good number. Number of permits issued I see in 2018 was 2337, 2019 2608, and 2020 2451. So very similar pace in all 3 years within 10% or so of each other. So we're not seeing near the slowdown that a lot of areas are, which is great for Sioux Falls and what we really like to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can look at new residential. We're actually ahead of last year with residential, so single family houses, which is a great indication of things that we're doing. Permits are more than 2018, but a little bit less than 2019. And I think that's one of those things that we worked hard, our IT department, along with our building services department, to be able to do so much of this stuff online. So from middle of March to, it was probably the week before Memorial Day, City Center was closed. So you couldn't issue permits over the counter. Everything was done online. And I think that just is kudos to them on how far they've come to do online permitting. Just quick story, I had talked to a lady from Knoxville, Tennessee, and she was just asking how we do online permitting and stuff. And during COVID, it was probably in April, and they didn't have a capability to do online permitting in a city like Knoxville, Tennessee. So everybody had to come in. Well, their offices were closed, so they couldn't issue any permits. And that just shows me right here the number that we've issued, how we can do all that stuff online, a lot of it online. And it's really been good for our customers, and still to be able to do city business as usual. Just the only thing you're missing out on is those face-to-face meetings. You still have the video conferencing ability, but really we can still function very strongly as a department with our offices closed. And I think that's a great way for us to still engage the citizens. And really for them, they can start they can start applying for permits after 5 o'clock, all the time. And so when we get here in the morning, we can start issuing them right away. So it really gives them the ability to do some of that stuff, some of their paperwork stuff after normal work hours for them, So sure. It's been great. So.
Well, I think another nice thing has been too that even before it went electronic, like you're describing, I think we really streamlined the permitting process quite a bit in the city of Sioux Falls to where the expectations of what you need to submit are really clear. As you read through the permitting process, it's a lot more straightforward than other communities that I know I've worked in. And I think that's a testament to what the city has really done in their kind of one Sioux Falls alignment to make sure that everybody's doing it the same way for sure. And that all just plays really well with anybody who wants to do an application, right?
Yep, absolutely. I think you nailed it perfectly. I mean, our department doesn't want to make any additional hoops for people to jump through. I mean, there are things that you have to submit and you have to do just for life safety issues. And this, and property, make sure you're utilizing your property that's not upsetting neighbors and things like that. But we've really tried to get rid of all those other hoops that you don't need to jump through, and really being able to let people contact us individually. And here's our phone numbers, here's our email to everybody that works there. If you want to talk to myself, here's my thing, here's my number, here's my email. So we've really tried to do that. And I know we've heard a lot from some of the construction and engineers and architects that work in a lot of other cities that really Sioux Falls is relatively easy to work with and to get through the process. We don't make it difficult.
Yep, I would echo that opinion myself. Yeah, I think absolutely. Great to hear that. Any other thoughts about permits and how they look for the coming year?
No, honestly, I think we'll continue to ramp up, and hopefully we'll be close to what we do every year. I'm assuming that, we thought we'd be a lot slower March to June, and we haven't been nearly as slow as we thought we would be. So I think that's just a testament to people moving to Sioux Falls, people wanting to invest in Sioux Falls, and really what kind of a great community we have. So
absolutely. Now, if people wanted to see kind of some of the permits that are in process, can they do that online?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to siouxfalls.org, and then under departments, if you go to the building services department, you can see permit statistics. You can see permits that have been just approved. You can see pretty much anything you want. So
okay, so keep that in mind. If you want to really know what's going on, feel free to log into that and find out the information. Anything else to add, Jason?
No, and just to to plug another way to be able to see what's going on, we did launch that Neighborhood Connect at the beginning of March, which lost a little bit of steam, obviously, with a pandemic, but that's still out there too, to be able to have you be able to see what's going on in your neighborhood. That includes building permits, rezonings, things we deal with at the Planning Commission level. So another good tool. So.
Yep, absolutely. Great. Thanks, Jason. Thank you all, our viewers, for joining us today. We're hoping that you can attend, if you'd like, the July 1st meeting for the Planning Commission. We love to hear public input. It's really important for good decision making. If an area of a particular project is having a public meeting, feel free to go to those as well. Those are great inputs directly to the applicants, and we love to see that at Planning Commission as well. Plus, we have a time for if there's an item on the agenda or not an item on the agenda you'd like to speak about, we have a slot in there for those as well. So if you have some thoughts you want to share with the Planning Commission, we welcome you to join us. And we just hope that you can continue to be engaged as a public community, because that's really important to us. Thank you for joining us today. Hope to see you soon.